back to Lana's Little Things. It's me, Dr. Lana, specialist gerontologist, talking all things about aging, caregiving burden, stress, entrepreneurship, bridging generational gaps, just life and life itself. So, how's everyone doing? Good morning, good evening, good night. So, what I'm gonna do tonight? This is episode number. This is number 165. Amazing. So, talking about caregiving burden. And I know, generally speaking, I love to talk about all things positive about caregiving, but let me tell you, it can be a burden. It is. It can feel like a burden. It can feel like I have nowhere else to go. I have. What am I to do next? How am I going to manage this? My lifestyle is so changed. The number of things that patients say to me, the number of things that I've been experiencing, and my family is experiencing, it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders sometimes. It can just feel like that. That is the reality. So, how do you deal with, first of all, what is caregiving burden? How do you manage it? Is there anything positive about it? So, I've been looking at a whole lot of research, and a few articles came up, and they all describe caregiving burden in similar ways, but sometimes different ways. Because every single family is going to have a different experience. Every single family. That goes without saying. So, how do you manage? What is it? How do you manage your stress? How can you fit it into your lifestyle? How can you see it as, how do you see it as a burden? How do you see it as a responsibility? How can it be managed? And can you feel any better? Honestly, can you feel better about what you have to do? So, first of all, what is caregiving burden? Well, it's been defined in many, many places, but let's do burden by itself. Due to responsibility, uh, challenge, but in a way that causes worry, hard work, difficulty, and the most common word is stress. Whatever you define stress as, stress, pressure. What am I supposed to do next? Okay, so that's it. Is that you? Comment below, and remember, don't forget to subscribe and share with a friend, because this is a channel that we share things. We don't hide back. We don't hold back things, and the more we share, the better we can feel. So now that we know what it is that you? And if it is you, what are you going to do? Well, the two things that really define caregiving burden. Obviously, one is your experience. What is your experience? That's your feeling about it. Then, what is actually happening, and what do you have to do? So let's deal with the easier bit. What do you have to do? Okay. So in any daily basis, if you're dealing with an aging parent, a grandparent, a spouse, and they're older, especially if there's Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, oy, frailty, broken bones, uh, being confined to bed, that has a load in its own. Person may not be able to eat, speak, communicate, tell you what's happening, tell you how they're feeling, and sometimes you just feel like you're all by yourself. That's a fact. So, what do you have to do on a daily basis? It might help to write down your list of responsibilities, let's call them that. So, in any given day, you got meals to prepare. That's one. You may have to consider the person may need to be bathed by you, or someone you may bring in and have to pay, mind you, to help you with the cleaning and caring, and not just of the person, but maybe obviously housework. how do you what do you do? So that's another thing on your list. You got meals, you got bathing, you got assistance, you got financial concerns. Do you have a budget? You can write down what your budget is, what is your in, and what is your out. I mean, sometimes it can feel like the out is a whole lot more than the in, but if you write it down, it may not be. You might still have $4 to do something, right? Hmm. Another responsibility that could be considered a burden is actually what do you do at night? What happens at night? Daytime is one thing. Oh mercy, nighttime can be a whole nother story because the person may be more restless. They may start to talk. Sundowning syndrome, which happens in the evening time where the person may get confused and they start to be restless and agitated. That's one thing. At night when you need to sleep and they're not sleeping and you haven't slept all day, there's another story altogether. So, how can you mitigate or manage what happens at night? Can you start dimming the lights in the evening? Can you make it really dark, really quiet, no distractions? Or if the person prefers distractions such as music or television on, you may have to use that as a distraction and keep them up, let them rest. If it keeps you up, discontinue it. But write it down and see which one works and experiment to just try something, right? Because sometimes you just have to try things. That's the truth. What else do you have to do on a daily basis? You have to be concerned about, is there physio care? Do they need you to do the practical things like tapping the chest to clear it to make sure they're at less risk of lung infections, pneumonia. Did you get Does the person need vaccinations? Is there a time that the doctor needs to come actually to examine, to take blood tests? Maybe they're dehydrated. In Caribbean, we in full summer right now, and it is hot, 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 hot. Person may not be drinking or may not want to drink. Suddenly, in the midst of the extreme heat, they don't want to drink. What do? Do you have to consider maybe giving them drinks in different ways? Can they chew? Can they swallow? Do they need a drip? Do you need to bring the doctor in? Do they need to go to the hospital? These things you may have to discuss to think about on your own. It's always better to just have at least one person, family, friend, healthcare provider, whether that be a nurse or a doctor, and ask them, okay, so what are the signs that uh, they might need to, what do I do when they're not eating or drinking? Do I need to call a doctor? How would I get someone to assess whether they're feeling unwell? If they look unwell to you, get help for sure. If someone is examining them and they look unwell, you might have to consider hospital, which is another set of fees if you have to go and pay somewhere. All right. What else is on your list of things to do? Family responsibilities, your lifestyle, your schedule. You have had to adjust every single thing. Your social life might feel like zero right now. You've lost contact with family and friends. Write that down on on the list of things that you have to do. Deal with yourself. Remember, it's oxygen mask first. Oh boy, did we forget that for sure, sure. What is your level of stress? Okay, so put practical lists together: finances, day to day activities, healthcare considerations, your own lifestyle, your own schedule. What about the subjective stress? Now, how do you feel? And the most common thing is, I'm tired. Oh boy, am I tired? Tired, tired. You haven't slept, you're emotionally stressed, you feel as though it's a sense of hopelessness some people feel. And honestly, that sense of hopelessness when you feel like you've done everything you can do, nothing is changing. The person doesn't look any different. It's going on longer than you expected. Longer than you expected. You plan maybe, okay, this might go on for maybe 5 months, 6 months, 10 months. You can manage. But you see when you start going to a year and 2 years and maybe 3 years and 5 years, How are you going to manage that? What do you think about that? How does your brain feel when you consider that? It brings a sense of hopelessness. If you're feeling hopeless, I'm sorry. Maybe you need to get help as well. Maybe you just need talk therapy. Maybe you just need to talk to a friend. Maybe you need more than that. Maybe you need to get family together, call a meeting. If that is challenging, call somebody to help have a meeting. There has to be one or two people. There has to be one or two people that you can speak to who can adjust for you or with you. How do you adapt? Do you have to maybe just make a plan to go exercise? Make a plan, even if you're going in the house. Make a plan to step outside in a patio. Make a plan to look outside the window. If you're not sleeping, consider that that is a problem. Consider that that is a problem. You cannot sustain being awake in the day, being awake in the night, having psychological stress, having to do practical things that every single day you feel like you have to cook. Can you bring someone in to cook? All those things are going to have a bad effect on your body. Can you sustain it? No, you can't. So again, if you're feeling like this, it's normal. It is. It is the most common. That's fatigue, the stress, the burden. Hmm. The laundry. Did we forget that? Laundry, for real. Do you have pets? You might be like, yeah, I need the dog, I need the cat, I'd love something. I need the fish, I need the birds, I'd love something around me. Maybe you're not a pet person, but if you are, that's another responsibility as well. But they're a joy. I love animals, just saying. We press and pause now. Why do I press pause? Because consider all of those things. Consider what you can do. What can you do? We've talked about getting meetings together. We talked about making at least 5 minutes in the morning for you to do a morning habit, a meditation prayer. Just give yourself 5 minutes. You might need to just switch off mentally, and that may sound bad, but switch off mentally from the burden and just say, you know what? Time for me right now. That sounds selfish, but it isn't, because you cannot take care of someone if you can't take care of yourself. Sometimes you just have to say, you know what? I'm going to have someone come in once a day and I'm going to leave the house. Something that you have to do. Just leave the house. If any of those sounds practical or doable for you, by all means do it. If you come up with your own thing, what do you come up with? Do it. Day by day by day by day, everything that you do will add up. So consider everything that you're doing, maintaining your mindset though, that it might feel like a burden, but it's a responsibility and it's a challenge. And there are things that you must do, things that you can do, and things that you must stop doing. So, what in there? Which one do you have? Which one do you have to do? Do all three. Note down what you can do, what you must do, and what you must stop doing. From my heart to yours, Dr. Lana signing out, saying, I know it's been a little bit long, a little bit stressful, but this is a reality that we're facing now. So, whatever you do, burden, responsibility is how you perceive it. Mindset change, mindset reset, you could say. Call a friend, make a note.